Oh, yeah. Legendary Tommy Morgan, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much. Lawrence Schubert and Tommy Morgan. Oh, man. We're going to do Q&A now until they kick us out. And if they kick us out, we'll stick around. So please, Kimberly, are you around? And you're welcome to ask stuff of Tommy as well, and Lawrence, and any of the folks up here.
Hi, guys. My question, well, first off, I'd like to say, Russell, the piece Invincible is by far one of my favorite Warcraft Blizzard pieces created. So I'd really like to thank you for that one.
Thank you so much.
Also, if you could, go into telling us a little bit about the process of creating Invincible and writing for Arthas in general.
Absolutely. So, Invincible is actually written by 4 people. Myself and Jason Hayes on the music, and Derek Duke and Neil Akery for the lyrics. And it's got a bit of history in that the theme from Arthas' coronation was written by Jason Hayes and appeared in Warcraft originally, in War 3. And Neil then took that melody and put it in the Wrath of the Lich King main title. That's the one where we had the little boy soprano singing the part. And at that point, Neil wrote lyrics for that. Then, when the Fall of the Lich King patch came around, we decided, well, we need Arthas and the Lich King need a coda. They need to bring it to an end. So I called that bit of music a chorus, if you will, and I wrote a verse to go with it, to go in front of that. And then Derek wrote the lyrics for that. And you mix it all up.
All the lyrics are really full of lore and there's a lot about Arthas' feelings for his horse. There's a lot about being imprisoned in the frozen castle, you know, and there's the lyrics throughout both of our music about, you know, whether it's from the souls that are trapped there or the feelings of those, you know, running through. There's a lot of meaning in all of that.
And I named it Invincible after reading Christy Golden's book Arthas, and decided it was a title that could leave us all wondering whether the song was about the horse or about Arthas himself. So, thank you.
Is there a translation to the song available somewhere? Talking about his horse and being trapped in the sword? And
what was the word? I can't hear you very well.
The question was, is there a translation to the song written out somewhere to kind of get that?
I know I recently supplied that to our creative dev department. I don't know if they've made that available yet, like on the web or anything like that, but it's certainly, we have it locked up and tucked away, so at some point it'll be available to everybody. Certainly, I think, I'm not sure if it's on the sheet music or not.
It's in the sheet music phonetically as the official language of the song as it's recorded. Thank you.
Hey guys, I wanted to know a little bit about your orchestration process, going from the initial piano or paper and pencil compositions to your orchestrators. And do you orchestrate your own stuff, or how do you go about your orchestrations?
I have an orchestrator named Penka Kuneva, who I've worked with since the opening cinematic of Burning Crusade. Basically, as I write, I do a certain amount of orchestration. I kind of decide what's going to be in what section. I'll work out the voicings of different instruments, and so a certain amount of that I do myself. But when it comes down to the actual making the choice as to, you know, what are we going to give to violin 1, violin 2, and kind of adding all that, you know, kind of really translating it, taking it to the next level, Penka does that for me. And, you know, we've all worked with different orchestrators, but she's been the one I've worked with this whole time.
I do a little bit of both. Sometimes I orchestrate for myself and get really specific before we send it to be scored out, and then other times we, you know, if things are laid out in a more easier fashion to understand, to make my idea, then I just let the orchestrator do it.
A couple of my handwritten sketches are on display in the art gallery, which is mind-blowing. But anyway, it's you can see I've tried to be fairly complete in specifying I want the brass to do this or the strings to do that. The orchestrator, though, keeps me honest, because he'll just call me up and say, you know, oboe doesn't go that high, pal. Okay. Are you going to piss someone off? So keeps us in line. Thanks.
I was curious about your creative process when you're tasked to compose for a certain zone or mood. Do you first think about motives or harmonies or instrumentation first, or what's kind of the order of your creative process?
In my case, I don't know if I have exact words for it, but I think I immerse myself in that through looking at the art, running through the zone if I can find it. Cheat to the zone. I think there's any number of ways to go about it, but I think really soaking it in first before you even come up with an idea. Sometimes the idea will be melodic. Sometimes for me it'll just be a mood that I want to set, and I write something that to me evokes that mood. But I think, like I said, putting yourself really in it first and trying to understand what it's all about. I guess maybe that's motivation, but to me it's more than just that. It's just exposing yourself to it completely and then letting it gel naturally.
We have time for one more question.
What were some of your influences back when you were a child to get into the music industry? Was it melodic, psychedelic rock like Pink Floyd, or was it groundbreaking rock like Led Zeppelin? What was it?
Well, for me, I hated piano lessons. I finally got to quit. And then I took up guitar, and then I quit. And then I took up trumpet, and I quit. And then I took up euphonium, and I quit. And I started dancing, and I quit. And you know, finally when I got to choir in high school, it was something else. But I was lucky that in my dad liked orchestral music, all the ballets from Tchaikovsky and all that, and none of my brothers liked it. So he used to pull me out of school once a month to take me up to see the LA Phil. So I really got exposed and got to hear a lot of that, you know, growing up and hearing it live at the Hollywood Bowl and whatnot. I was lucky to have that influence from my dad for me. But, you know, Pink Floyd came later, you know.
Exactly.
I'd like to throw that question actually to Tommy before we go. And the question was, what were your musical influences before you started being a professional musician? Who inspired you to join this business?
From a harmonica player standpoint, it was Larry Adler, who was a concert player in the middle 20th century. And from then on, my mother used to play piano, and I took piano lessons when I was very young, and so I created a love of music through that, through keyboard playing and then studying the harmonica, and then it just got out of hand.
The best way. Lawrence, how about you?
Well, I started playing guitar in 1963. So it was Beatles, Stones, and I was in London. So, you know, the local band were the Kinks, for example. But I kind of developed my musicianship along with, you know, like Clapton came along and then Hendrix, and then it was just this constant influx of stuff, you know. So I was really into kind of progressive rock stuff too. I mean, early Pink Floyd, you know, like Syd Barrett era Pink Floyd and stuff. Yeah.
And a few years later, Paul McCartney hired him to be in Wings. So you guys win.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
Very cool.
I mean, for me, it was kind of, I got to work, I've worked with a lot of my idols. I've worked with, like, The Who and Zeppelin and Floyd and, you know, Beatles and just those players. It's just an amazing experience for me.
Incredible. Well, thank you all so much for being here. We hope to see you next year. Enjoy the rest of your time at BlizzCon. Thank you so much for attending our sound panel. Thank you.